Welcome to your Oval League podcast, your one-stop shop for everything related to Oval Racing League on iRacing with your host, Tommy Reed.
Hello and welcome to the first ever Oval Racing League podcast with your host, Tommy Reed, and myself, Richard Rose. This podcast, we're going to go over the basic changes for 2017. Everything from 2017 sponsors to off-season changes, some information on speed weeks, and the broadcast schedule for the highly anticipated Daytona 250. And we're going to go over the shootout, qualifying, and everything else. But I'm going to go ahead and let Tommy take it from there. How's it going, Tommy?
Man, doing all right. How about yourself?
You know, I'm excited for the 2017 season of Oval Racing League.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's coming up on us quick, and it's incredible to see how much hype has been built up in the last couple months. It's going to be a lot of fun. Daytona is going to be incredible, and this season is going to be even wilder than last season. It's going to be awesome, I'm telling you.
Yeah, if the people that are new to this and are coming in 2017, 2016 was the inaugural year for what was then called Deep South Racing, and you went through the name change of Oval Racing League. But we've seen it go from like a few cars to just spiraling out of control to have a full racing lineup and full cars and some intense racing in 2016. I mean, I can only imagine what 2017 holds for the league.
Yeah, you know, we had we started this thing, or I started this thing back, I don't know, I think 2012, 2013 as a way to kind of just relax and hang out with the family and everything. So we did a fantasy racing league through iRacing, or through NASCAR.com, excuse me, and it grew out of that. We broke off from NASCAR.com thinking there was a better way to do it, and we made a chase and we made our own point system. And then, it got to a lot of work, but I was like, well, if I'm doing it here, just as a fantasy league, I might as well have fun on iRacing. So the week before Daytona last year, I moved it over to iRacing, and to see where it started from, versus where it ended and where we are now, it's been an incredible growth, and I'm excited. I've had a lot of good people help me out. Every week has been a learning curve. If you had watched the first race at Daytona, and there were some guys who are racing with us now who were in it, I mean, it's unreal just to see how much it's grown and how fun it's become.
Yeah, just to see the challenges grow throughout the last season of 2016. I mean, the beginning of the season, we had a guy by the name of Brian Harford that was coming in and dominating every week.
Yeah, that guy.
As you progress through the season, we had more people coming in that were running with Brian. So it wasn't one of those ones where you go into a race like, all right, we're racing for second now. It was, we're racing for the win, because you never knew what was going to happen with somebody up there going after Brian and actually challenging him for the league. And at the end of the season, I mean, it was just an all-out, you didn't know who was going to take the championship.
Yeah, last year early on, Brian, established dominance pretty quick. But it wasn't like everybody just rolled over and gave it to him. It was, he was working for it. And there was a guy who was planning on racing with us this year, Dennis Pavel, who actually won a couple races early on last year. And he, weekly it was kind of like watching Richard Petty and David Pearson. These two were the guys going back and forth with each other. And then, around the time of the 4th of July, between then and the 4th of July, Brian pretty much owned it. And I remember we first went live with Center Force TV, who is coming back with us this year. Adam Chapman and those guys, they're coming back with us. And there was a guy by the name of Jack Williams who came up at Kentucky. Brian had the lead on a last lap restart, and Jack was able to beat him. And it was the first time I think people actually stopped and said, wow, he can be beaten. Now he spun, but he could be beaten. So I think it was with Brian. A lot of it is is, he has such a mind, a control of everybody's mind. They're like, oh man, we're just going to run second tonight, But Brian is a great guy. He's a humble guy. He doesn't come out here and say, I am the best. He goes out there and just handles business. That's how he does things.
Yeah, and he pushes the other competitors. Because with me driving at number 10, that was Deep South was the first league I was ever part of. I was just brand new on iRacing. So when I came in there, I was looking up to Brian. And even during practice sessions, I would try to get behind him and follow his lines and catch his braking points and all that. So, I mean, he taught me a lot just from following him. And I know a lot of people were like that. Let's get behind Brian because he's the fast guy.
Well, I expect him to be a contender for 2017. But I'll tell you, there's a couple other guys who I've been watching at the end of last year who came in late and they weren't quite eligible for the chase. They barely missed that cutoff. Daniel Hill is one. I think Josh Sturgill will be one because Josh and Brian were working together late last year, and it showed. Josh was in position to win a couple of races. Actually picked one up last year. I think Kevin Strandberg will be good, especially at some of the mile-and-a-half tracks. His performance at the mile-and-a-half tracks really seemed to pick up. And me, I'm a statistics guy. If you can put those numbers in front of me, that's where I'm seeing all of it. But there's some names that pop out there that I think are really going to be factors for 2017. And those are just a few. I probably got a list of maybe 15 to 20.
Yeah, I'll throw another one in there. And that's only if he can hold his temper down. I can say that because I'm his brother. But there was an off-season number change from the number 20 to the number 1, Casey Heschel.
Yeah.
If he is able to hold his temper down and not let the little things get to him, there's a chance that he could be up there running for it. I mean, but there's a lot of stuff that's in his way. And it happens with racing. I mean, you get out there, everybody's competitive. Somebody gets in your way. It happened with me and I can't remember the guy's, Tyler, I can't remember what his last name is, but it was at Richmond, and I thought he brake checked me. And there was a fight that broke out because I was obviously faster than him, and I was trying to get around him and all this stuff. But if the tempers could be held down, that's what gets a lot of people. It gets me. I've seen it in the league where it's gotten other people at super speedways. So that's just one thing that people have to realize. But
yeah, and that's part of racing. I mean, you're going to have that from everywhere, from a bunch of kids on go-karts all the way up to, all the way up to your dirt tracks, your short tracks, to the live on, TV with the Cup Series or wherever. I mean, it's really irrelevant. It's part of racing. It's part of sports, and competition does that. I mean, and now, this year we have, a lot on the line, especially for Daytona. I mean, we actually have a Daytona 250 Champions Trophy that I'm not certain that people actually realize that how cool it really kind of is. I think it's kind of unique. I don't know if any other leagues do it or not, but we are. It's a wood base. It's good solid material. It's got your name and your plaque on it. And the cool thing is, on top of the trophy, there's actually going to be a 1/24 scale diecast of your car that you won with at Daytona. And we've already got that in the works. We just got to figure out whose car is going to be on it. And that's just one of the differences we're going to have. We plan on having some other things. We have a lot of sponsors coming in this year. RockAuto.com, as mentioned, is one of them. They're going to sponsor 2 races for us this year. One of them, the first one's going to be at Las Vegas. It's the RockAuto.com 200. And the second one is going to be at Michigan. And it is the Rock Auto 175 at Michigan. RockAuto.com 175 at Michigan. And those folks were pretty cool to come on board with us there. And they're offering some prizes for the winner and maybe for the pole winner, which is cool now because now we actually have a pole award for this season and sponsored by The Buzz. And we've had a lot of support come on in a short time. It's going to be really incredible to see how it grows from here.
Yeah, seeing all the sponsors come through. I mean, I remember when I seen the post come out and seeing Centerforce TV and CFM Graphics and Huntsville Ghost Walk and Alabama Mentor Group and TalkStream Live. The Oval Racing League picked up some huge sponsors. and that just shows to the level of management that is going on with you and all the other off-season changes that we'll get to.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and tell you, I've got to throw credit out to Danny Lowe. Danny approached me about doing this, I want to say back in August of last year, and at the time I really was like, yeah, okay, nobody's paying that much attention. It's really not that big. And for some reason or another, I don't remember where we were, but I went live on Center Force TV while I was racing. I had it on set to the side, and I sat there and watched the viewers pop up, and we're sitting there commenting the whole time. And Danny mentioned to me later on after the race, maybe a couple days later, hey man, you really might want to consider this. And I thought about it, and then at the end of last year I was like, all right, let's see what we can do with this. And Danny contacted me and said, I can run with it if you want me to. And man, he has ran with it like farther than I ever thought, and in such a short amount of time. I mean, we've got half the season sponsored out, and we've only been doing this since maybe the week of Thanksgiving, and we didn't really start talking to people until maybe the week or two after Thanksgiving. I mean, it's just been incredible.
It shows the hard work, and as I was telling you, during my whole trip for my filming I went down to Charlotte, and I was at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And inside there, they have the iRacing simulators. And there was a group of 4 guys that come in. It was an empty simulator, so we just started racing together. We bought the all-day pass, and that's all I did for like 8 hours was get in and out of the simulator. And we were racing Charlotte, Daytona, Talladega. We had them switching it up all over the place. Well, they asked me, they said, you race iRacing at home? And I was like, yeah. And I said, I'm part of a league and all this stuff. And they're like, what league? And I told them, which was at the time Deep South Racing. And they automatically knew what league that was. And that says a lot about Deep South, which is now Oval Racing League. But you even put into the iRacers Lounge on Facebook, and people know about the group because you guys have done a lot of sponsoring, a lot of promotions, and it just shows to the hard work. It's paying off.
Oh yeah, man, and that's just pretty cool that it's reached, there. I mean, it's the motorsport, it's NASCAR's Hall of Fame. It's right in their backyard, and there's guys, I don't know if they're local or not, and if they're not local, wow, that's even better. They know about it, and that's just really humbling and really cool, and that's something that I'm pretty proud of, that this is not a professional league, or I don't think there's any professionals in here. If you're getting paid to race on iRacing, I want to be your friend. But there's a whole lot of just guys who enjoy racing and don't have time to do the setups and don't have time to, or the resources or even the knowledge to do those setups. So we do the fixed league thing, and you can come every week, and you don't have to race every single week to be in the championship, but it does help. And that's how I wanted it to be, man. And it's all about having fun. So, I can't complain.
Yeah, and there's been just from that, and there's been a lot of off-season changes. I mean, you mentioned Danny Lowe, and you mentioned the pole award, but there's been another big one that Oval's picking up, and that's the whole lane choice. You want to go ahead and explain that?
Yeah, well, last year, we didn't. Last year we weren't able to do a whole lot of changes when it came to the rules package because, quite frankly, I was still learning how to do things. I mean, very early on, I even struggled to put the caution out when it needed to be out, because iRacing sometimes won't put it out, and I've got 3 guys spinning across the track, and iRacing says, well, no caution, and I've got a pack of cars running into it. Oh, now we're going to throw the caution. So, a lot of it was a big learning curve for myself, so we didn't really change a whole lot. Well, this year we've gone and we've looked back, and we're going to do some of the off-season changes. Obviously we changed our name. That's the big one. We went from the Deep South Racing League to Oval, which represents the online virtual auto racing league, which is not bad considering the fact that me and Danny came up with that name and I can't even say it. Danny Lowe was named as the PR manager for the league, and he's done a fantastic job, like we said. We now have a pole award presented by the Buzz. The Buzz sponsors that, and that is a huge deal for us. This year, this is something a lot of people have been asking for last year, and again, just ignorance. I wasn't sure how to do it, but we do have a logo that can fit on the quarter panels of anybody who has trading paints. Now, I can't do anything for those guys who run Mac and who can't access trading paints, but I've got it for those guys who can. The pole sitter lane choice is obviously a big one. This year, you win the pole, outside or inside, it's up to you. You just need to let me know before we go green. This year, another big change that has actually kind of sparked a little bit of controversy. I know some guys like it, some guys don't. The two road courses at Sonoma and Watkins Glen will now have 20-minute cautions, kind of like what the Truck Series has. Every 20 minutes there will be a caution, which, if anything, it is to kind of help anybody else win, because those races, the leader will just take off and go. However, something else with those road courses, those restarts will not be double file. The first one will be, but the second one will not. All the lap cars will go to the back. It will be a single file restart, but that's just to increase competition and to see if maybe it'll help. Maybe bring some more guys into the road courses. I know they kind of scared a bunch of guys away. So maybe to increase car count and see if we can't get a different winner. This year, the admin will throw the EOL at discretion for damaged cars. So if a car is been involved in a wreck and it's damaged and there's a bunch of guys behind them, and iRacing can say, hey, stay behind this guy, and I'll hear people, hey, I need you to go. Can you catch up? Can you go? The EOL will be given to them at discretion. Here in the next couple days, we're going to announce the finalization of our first Rookie of the Year program. I know we've got a bunch of rookies this year, a whole lot of rookies, who have contacted us within probably the last few months, but it's also if you've ran 4 races or less the year before. And I know there were a bunch of guys who ran that, so if they run with us this year, they are eligible for the Rookie of the Year. And there will be an award given at the end of the season for the Rookie of the Year. And the big thing that a lot of people here recently have been asking, the rule changes that NASCAR did with their points, they will not be a factor. I like what we have. It works for us, and I think I'm cautiously optimistic with what NASCAR is doing for their deal, but for our deal, we're not changing a thing. It works for us, and we're going to keep it.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I wanted to go back to just real quick to hit up on is the road course 20-minute cautions. A lot of people, I think it ruined truck racing, me personally, because they did it because they had new people coming up. Right. They wanted to give them a shot. Right. But when you come to the NASCAR level, especially with road courses, I think what that's going to do is that's going to make people have some strategy. And it's going to lead to some choices to where I think you're going to have so many laps left. And do I go now or try to push it to the limit of that 20-minute caution? Right. And I could see that kind of costing somebody a race because they think they can make it to that 20-minute caution and they actually run out of gas and it kind of screws them. So I'm kind of excited to see where that leads. And it's only for the 2 road courses, so it's not like we're doing it every race.
Exactly. But that'd drive me insane if we did it for every race. We don't we don't have to do it for every single race. We got enough cautions as it is. So
yeah, there's some fast-paced action, and I like the Rookie of the Year, so that gives those guys coming in something to look forward to and something to work towards.
Yeah, and that's and it's I think it. I'm a firm believer in competition breeds improvement. I think there are a lot of league admins around iRacing who feel the same way, and I don't blame them. I mean, there are plenty of leagues that I looked at and was like, oh, I like how they did that. Ooh, I don't like how they did that. And it's just within our league itself. I think if you can, I've had people asking me why do we not pay the winner? Why does the winner not receive money? I've got guys who will run your butt, who will wreck their mother to win a race. They will wreck their mother to win a race, and I'm not paying them a thing. They're doing that for free. Can you imagine when it said, hey, I'll put $100 down right now if you win this race? They'll bust through the computer to wreck somebody, just to move them out of the way. And I would rather do it for free and have hard racing versus paying them and just hitting you in the right rear quarter panel and putting your butt in the wall for the fun of doing it. That's not fun. That's not racing.
Yeah, we had some great racing in 2016 that was free.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even compete in the first few races. I just sat there and watched. And everybody's like, why don't you race? And I'm like, because it's fun watching it. So,
and I found myself doing that. I mean, everybody knows that the number 10 car was haunted in 2016.
Yeah.
I don't care where I was on the track. If something spun out, it's like I had a magnet on the front of my car, and it just bring that car up into me, no matter what I did. So, but I found myself a couple of races that I sat out at the end that I would just sit there and watch the end of the race because it was that entertaining. Or I would go over to the Center Force stream and talk in there and give them some insights.
right. Yeah, I mean, and Adam and those guys do a great job for how long it takes. I mean, because it's not just we throw it together, Tuesday night and it's ready to go. We end the race probably around 11 or so Tuesday night. Tuesday nights are my long night. I usually try to get a nap before that because right after that I'm putting points up and I'm writing a story for the website, and then I'm getting my list ready for Adam the next day. Wednesday or Thursday, I'm chatting with Adam. All right, here's what we need to do for this week. Here's what we got to get done for this week. This is what we need to hit on. It's probably a 5-6 day prep process for those guys.
Yeah, and even you got to give credit to you for those the news stories and even you crunching numbers to let us know what we needed or what we didn't need.
Yeah.
That shows a lot of credit on your hard work. I mean, you're doing it for free.
You want to talk about pressure? Why don't you get a bunch of guys racing for the championship and then you have to sit there and tell them, okay, my math says you need to get here, to advance. You want to talk about pressure? I've told you for 2 weeks is what you've had to do, and I screwed up, man. I ran those numbers probably a dozen times. I ain't even kidding, a dozen times per week just to make sure. I had probably 6 models set up. What if? And, that's a lot of pressure on me, and I welcome the pressure. That's awesome. I want that kind of pressure on me because if those guys are passionate about it, I should be equally as passionate about it. And, we've got it right now. And, Brian, won the championship last year. I mean, that last race at Homestead, there was so many different storylines going on with that. I don't think people even realized. Raymond Dormer had that race. He had that race. We had run on a very long green flag run. It was almost 100 laps. I think it was like 70 or 80 on that green flag run. Like, we had a couple green flag stops in the middle of that, and Raymond was gone. Going to pick up his first win. Brian got set up on the wrong pit sequence, and and going into that week, everybody thought he was going to be the favorite to win the championship. I mean, who was going to bet against the guy? And he got set up on the wrong pit sequence and was running out of fuel and was going to be about 7 or 8 laps short. Patrick Green was running in, third or fourth, biding his time because he was 6 laps to the good. He was going to win the championship. We had a caution right there with a couple laps to go. And Raymond pitted, and Brian pitted, and Patrick pitted, and then Brian took off and won the championship. But those kind of storylines, man, it came down literally to the last laps to see who was going to win the championship.
Yeah, you can't write a better story than that. I mean,
yeah, no, I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there looking at it, and I was listening to it because I had the headset on. I was listening to it. I was running in my head. I was like, is this really about to happen? Raymond's going to pick up his first win, and Patrick's going to pick up the championship. All in the meantime, I was running for the championship too, but I knew I wasn't going to get it. So, and I'm sitting there listening to this. I'm like, that's incredible. This has happened. We've run 36 races, and this is it's going to come down to the last laps. Bob was going to be like 2 or 3 laps short. It was going to happen, and Patrick was going to pass him, and Raymond was going to win the race. And so, as bad as I felt for Raymond, I felt worse for Patrick. Then I had to feel good for Brian. So, I couldn't believe it though. It was incredible.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's only beginning now. I mean, those were the stories from last year, and now we have the highly anticipated Daytona 250 coming up.
Yeah, buddy.
And it's just, if you want to talk about the Speed Week schedule and the whole broadcast schedule, because there's a lot coming up within the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, man, it's about to get real busy for a lot of folks. Well, tomorrow, there will be the announcement for the starting lineup for the shootout. And for those who don't know, the shootout is a selection race. There's 25 eligible drivers from last season who are eligible. They race for 60 laps. There will be a caution at lap 20, and then with a mandatory pit stop, mandatory where you have to take tires, and then after that, 40 laps to the end. Whatever happens at that point happens. We will have our lineup drawing tomorrow. It will be announced via the Twitter website, the Facebook page, and then when they're all compiled, I'll put it on iRacing.com for everybody to see as well. That'll be happening probably around 1 Eastern tomorrow, and it will be a random drawing. The winner of that race, here's the big thing: the winner of that race gets 2 chase points. And so,
points could mean a difference this year.
Yeah, exactly, and that could be how high do you sit going into the chase if you make the chase. But and those who are not entered are more than welcome to watch it. Center Force TV will be broadcasting that race. That will be our first event of Speed Weeks and our first broadcasted event of the year, and that's next Wednesday, February 15th at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And the announcement with Center Force TV will come probably later that week, so that way we can give you the link and, hey, here's where it's going to be. You just click here. And I moved that from the regular Tuesday night because it's Valentine's Day. So, there's a lot of spouses and girlfriends who allow their folks to come in here and do this, and I didn't want to interfere with that day, so I was like, well, we'll push it off one day. But right after that, we keep going. The next part on the schedule is that Thursday, the very next day. There's a 25-hour qualifying session for the Daytona 250, and what that means is you have 25 hours starting at 6 a.m. Eastern on the 16th, that's Thursday, to go run 2 laps. 2 laps, that's all you got to do. You just pick 25 hours in your day to run 2 laps at Daytona. That's all you have to do. You can only do it one time. You can only participate once. And what that will do is it will set the grid for the qualifying races, and I'll hit those in a minute, but it will lock in the pole sitter and the second fastest driver, just like they do in the Cup Series. So what that means right there is the pole sitter, who the fastest driver when qualifying ends 25 hours later, will get that 1 bonus point going into Daytona. No questions asked. Whether they run 1 lap or no laps, they get that 1 extra bonus point. It's theirs.
And if you think, all right, so let's set up the scenario real quick. You go Wednesday night and you win the shootout, and then you get the pole for the Daytona 250. Right there's 3 points you got going into 2017.
Well, kind of
game changer.
Yeah, it could be, but don't confuse it. The 2 chase points are from Wednesday are for the championship. This bonus point is going towards your yearly total. So it's like if you led a lap or you won a pole, those kind of bonus points. But like you said, that could be the game changer. There, I'm telling you, I'm expecting there to be a lot of drivers who get in by the skin of their teeth in the chase. That's what I'm expecting this year. From the chatter I've heard from probably, I don't know, August or September of last year till now, I'm fully expecting it. But either way, you get that 1 bonus point, plus you are the Daytona 250 pole winner. That sticks with you. I mean, and you get that lane choice. But what it does is it will set up the starting lineup for the double 100 qualifying races that Friday night. But as far as qualifying goes, we only need drivers who can race on the 21st to qualify. Now, I know you're one of those guys who's going to Daytona for the 500,
Yeah, I had to pick between racing online or watching it live.
Yeah, well, your priorities are messed up. But, it's part of it. And so we only need those guys who, hey, I can be there that Tuesday night for race number 1, the Daytona 250. And, and the way this works is the same as it does in the Cup Series. The odd number qualifiers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, etc., they will start race number 1. The even number drivers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, they'll start in race number 2. And, that Friday night, I think we're going to start probably around 8 o'clock, so a little bit earlier. And then probably 10 minutes after the checkered flag falls for race number 1, we're going to get on with race number 2. Try to make it an early night. And, Center Force TV is going to be there with us again. That will be another broadcasted race for us. And so, those guys racing in race number 1 can watch race number 2. And those guys racing in race number 2 can watch race number 1 and see if they learn something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. And the double 100 qualifying races will be that Friday. That's February, 17th. Yeah, 17th. So, the big thing for that, though, is for the pole sitter and the guy running in second. I told you when they qualified, their spots are locked in. However, if they have more than 8 incidents during that double 100 qualifying race, they will then start at the rear of the field that Tuesday night. So they can choose, hey, I'm not going to race. I want to save my spot. You don't have to. You want to drop to the end of the line, you are more than welcome to. However, if you leave that race and you have 9 incidents on your record, you start at the rear of the field. That's going to be your backup car. So that way the pole sitter doesn't get out there and say, well, I can do whatever I want, and he wrecks everybody, and he wrecks himself, and he has 25 incidents during the race, and he's still starting on the pole. So, I kind of evened it out with that. But the double 100s, they're 100 miles, which is 40 laps at Daytona. There's 1 fast repair, and it's going to be crazy. I expect it to be a lot of fun and a heck of a show for that.
And you brought up a thing that I want to kind of touch on, because 2016 we've seen a lot of people, they would qualify 4th or 5th, and you get to the race and they'd say, can you give me an end of line? I did it too. Going into 2017, what kind of protocol are you going to follow with that? Are you qualify 5th, you start in 5th?
Well, with that being said, because we've had so many people get signed up, right now we've got almost 70 people signed up for Daytona alone. Now, like any league, I'm expecting some drop off, and it happens. There's guys who can't do this every week. I'm one of them. Hey, well, maybe I got something going on, or whatever, and that's fine. That's why I made the league this way. But for the first at least 3 races, so 4 if you count after Daytona. So Daytona has its special qualifying procedure, but then Atlanta and Vegas most definitely, there will be another 25-hour qualifying session. So for those guys who say, well, I'm not going to qualify, I'll just start at the end, you may really want to reconsider that and try to turn at least a couple of laps that Monday. Sometime between that Monday and then that, Tuesday morning, somewhere around there. Because we're only holding 40 spots. I'm not doing 43, And the way it'll work is we're going to have the first, the fastest 40 who are in, they're in. So if we have 40 guys show up, the fastest 40 are in. If we have like 20 guys show up for qualifying, the way that'll work is it will go to the point standings for last year. So let's say Brian Harford doesn't qualify that Monday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would have spot number 21 if he entered. If Patrick Green didn't qualify, he would have spot 22. If he didn't qualify on Monday, but he shows up on Tuesday night. Does that make sense to what I'm saying?
It does.
So what that does is, first of all, that gives everybody an even playing field for showing up. I want anybody who signs up to have the opportunity, well, I just didn't make it in qualifying, versus, well, I didn't click the join button fast enough because I couldn't get off work. You know what I mean? And I didn't think that was right, to have somebody maybe with a faster internet connection get in the race versus somebody who's been sitting there, for 5 minutes trying to get in and their internet wouldn't allow them to get in. So it was a problem that people have been mentioning to me for the last year, and this is what we're going to do to fix it. And then if we get down to Phoenix and we need to continue this, then we'll continue doing it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'll tell you what, 21st, I'm looking forward to it, even though I'm not racing. I will be, because I know my brother will be racing in it. And the only reason I can't make it is because I can't pack my steering wheel and everything into my luggage because we're flying to Daytona.
Right.
And I wish I could, but I'm hoping that something happens with KC to where I can steal a steering wheel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, maybe a meeting or something.
yeah. But yeah, that's all coming up on the 21st, and I'm telling you, even if you guys, the listeners, aren't part of iRacing, you somehow found this podcast somewhere, you're interested in NASCAR, come to the Center Force TV's Twitch page, the YouTube page, look them up and watch some of our races from 2016. It's going to be an eventful race.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be jam-packed with action. I mean, it's Daytona. It is nose to tail, drafting, 3-4 wide. I mean, I'm seeing it all happen this year.
Well, you know what? It's funny you bring it up because, you know, last I think Thursday, we had a testing session, and tonight we're going to have another one. The testing session was brought up late. I was like, well, I've had people asking me for practice time, so I threw it together probably, I don't know, a little more or less than 24 hours in advance, right? Even in that 24-hour notice, and I'll say 24, we had 25 people show up to that testing session. 25. You know, Michael Redding is one of those guys, and he's going to be running just the shootout for us. They're working over there in the NASCAR Monday Night Thunder Series, and so he's like, well, we're going to run the shootout, and then after that, we're going to get started on theirs, which is totally okay. But he was like, looking at how many guys showed up in there, and he brought his paint scheme out, and then a lot of guys brought their Daytona 250 paint schemes out. You know, we're having another one tonight, but I mean, I've got at least 67 guys who are going to try to race at Daytona for 40 spots. You know, that means 27 guys are going to go home early. They're not even going to be able to run it. And you know, that's, to me, is a wonderful, crappy fact of life. I'll say that. It's a wonderful problem to have. But that means that the competition is really going to be big early on. I'm telling you, I think the qualifying races, the double 100s are going to be incredible. I call it gut feeling.
Yeah, even last week during the testing session, we were seeing 3 wide for many laps, and people just bumping and going and just making those bold moves, and I'm hoping to see that in the actual 250. I mean, you know, people are going to sit back and let the big one happen first, but it's all strategy.
Right.
But seeing that racing that was going on, and if I remember correctly, the number 1 spot for the speed and everything wasn't even Brian this year. So, I mean, that shows for the talent of how much it's progressed.
Yeah, you know, and Brian, you know, came in there late. He he was messaging me while we were practicing, and I was like, well, I'm trying to get you in. Hold on a second. And he's like, I don't see it. I can't get in and everything. And we got Brian in there, you know, and you know, some guys, you know, this was the time to see, okay, we're going to have problems. You know, we're going to have issues with our internet. Are we going to have issues with, you know, our setup? Are we going to have issues with, you know, what was going to be our problem? This is when you shake the cobwebs off and shake the rust off, and then see what was going to happen. But you know, your brother Casey was second quickest. You know, that new deal with him, the new number, new paint scheme, but you know, really started to show up big. But then you know, Patrick Green, I'm telling you, I think he'll be my dark horse for the 250. I think Patrick will be my dark horse for the 250. I don't know why. Just he seems to be up top every time that we do something at Daytona and Talladega. So I'll call it now. I think Patrick Green will win the 250.
Yeah, and the thing is, you need friends at these super speedways.
Oh yeah.
And the champion's going to be out there from 2016. And if you think somebody's going to get behind him and push him to the win, you're crazy, because they're going for that spot. And they're putting Brian on notice that 2017 isn't going to be that year where he just goes in and wins.
Yeah.
He's going to have to actually work for it. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to be behind the wheel and actually watch it play out. And I hope that at least one of the races, I'm up there in front, or I'm in a chase, and I'm giving him a run for his money. So
I had a good run at Richmond last year, second race, and I even told him, I was like, I'm not sure what to do up here this far to the front. But you know, that's something else too that you mentioned. You know, Brian having that edge, and something else I've done for that, and I felt bad for him because everybody was gunning for him last year. Everybody was wishing bad mojo on Brian. And, hey, go ahead and blow a tire here, wreck. But something that we've done this year, if you look on the website and go to the schedule, all of the setups are on the website. And that gives anybody who wants to race with us an opportunity to work on those setups. Test with those setups. You can't change them. But test with those setups, for the upcoming races. So that way they're not having to wait to the week of the race and say, okay, so what's this fixed setup again? They have, I put this up probably, I don't know, August or October of last year, August, September, October, something like that. So, it's been a while now that you can go in there and test and get those. And there will not be changed. These are the setups that we will race. And the reason I bring that up is because at Daytona, with the setup that we're using, that inside line seems to be crucial. You get to the bottom, you need to do everything in your power to stay there. I really haven't seen that kind of success on the outside with this Daytona 2011 oval HOF setup that iRacing has, and it can be frustrating because you can get a good line going on the outside and you'll have it going down the back straightaway. You won't have really anything going on the front straightaway, but off of turn 2 down the back stretch you might be able to push 1 or 2 cars ahead, but as soon as you get into the corner, if you stay in that lane, that bottom line's going to come around you. And I'm not crazy about it, but it's kind of the cards we've been dealt with iRacing.
Yep, and you can get all those setups and all the schedule stuff on overracingleague.com.
Yep. Go there and go to schedule, and it's over. Every race is listed right there, and the setups are to the right.
Yeah, and you also have a Facebook page.
Yeah, we sure do. Oval Racing, and the Twitter page is the Oval 2017, and we're on there as well. That's first, and that's something that Danny's kind of taking control of. I'm not really a big Twitter guy, but Danny is, so I've been learning from him, and he's done a great job over there. And then iRacing.com is, we send out a lot of information through the league that way as well. So check your emails, whatever email you have listed with iRacing.com. That's a good way to get a lot of information. And obviously, if anybody has any questions, they can email me at ovalmanagement1@gmail.com. That's the number 1, not O-N-E. And then, you can ask me anything. I'll be more than happy to talk with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a great 2017. If you're listening to this and you're not part of the league, but you're on iRacing, I'd highly recommend checking out Oval. So
absolutely. We'd be more than happy to have you. Daytona is coming up. The 250 is on the 21st. And after that, we'll do our regular thing. The session will open at 8:45. Have about a 40-minute practice session. Driver's meeting will be about approximately 9:18. Race will start at 9:25. 100 laps, 1 fast repair, and the winner gets 3 chase points and a trophy. What else do you want?
Exactly. But it all starts on December 15th.
No, February 15th.
February 15th. I don't know why I said December.
Yeah, we're not waiting until December to do this. I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, we're ready to go. So.
Yeah, I'm ready right now. I've been ready for months. But
well, I tell you what, it's going to be a great season, and I can't wait to see everybody on February 15th. So.
Yes, sir. And I reckon we'll see you guys there. May do another podcast in between now and then, but definitely one. Maybe wait, a couple days, see what happens in the shootout and the double 100s. I think it's going to be crazy.
Definitely.
But man, I thank you for coming on here, dude. It's been a lot of fun, and 2017 is going to be a blast. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, I told you I can do podcasting a little bit better than I can a little bit of racing, but
yeah, it's all new to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we will catch everybody on the next podcast.
All right. We'll see y'all guys.